Another call for more cooperation between countries in the diaspora and Africa. Barbadians given more details about plans to upgrade the South Coast sewage treatment plant. A political analyst comments on new developments with the opposition Democratic Labour Party. And in sports, Rangers secure the 2024 BNA Premier League title.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Boeing. Liberia's first female president has been underscoring the importance of countries in the diaspora like Barbados reconnecting with Africa. Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is in Barbados as part of the historic Sankofa pilgrimage, which has brought hundreds of Liberians to the island. Last night, she participated in a fireside chat where she recounted her journey to the presidency in 2006 and being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize in 2011. Ms. Johnson Sirleaf believes reconnecting with the diaspora is very important.
Sometimes we have not modeled them fully for support. Some countries have. I mean, if you look at Ghana, for example, I think they've done a great work being able to mobilize this support, not only for financial resources, but also the support for getting, recognition of the country, the voices of the country, and all of that. The diaspora is so important. We all should find a means to use them. Not so much use them as it is to encourage them for the unity of purpose in what we do.
Ms. Johnson Sirleaf says she's most impressed by the Barbadian people's enthusiasm during her visit. She has also commended Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley's Bridgetown initiative, which seeks to reform the global financial system. Prime Minister Motley, who was in the audience, gifted the guest of honor with a piece of artwork. Ms. Motley says the former president's role in rebuilding Liberia after the Civil War and dealing with the consequences of the Rwanda genocide cannot be taken for granted.
Just as you explained with the introduction of cremation, it would have taken extraordinary courage and leadership for you to hold out for reconciliation and for the rebuilding of your country. And we want to salute you as one of those leaders who in the 21st century can inspire not just the women of Africa, but the people of the world, recognizing that it is possible to build out of the ashes things that are good and that can bring benefits to ordinary people.
Earlier in the evening, descendants of 346 brave Barbadians who relocated to Liberia were honored with the unveiling of a plaque at the Bay Street Esplanade by Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley and the former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Lorna Jones has that story.
The picturesque Carlisle Bay was the backdrop for the occasion, and white the color of choice to commemorate the ancestors. Prime Minister Motley explained to those gathered, following emancipation, many Barbadians left these shores and branched out across the region and other countries. They heeded the call of Liberian President Daniel B. Warner to assist in building a black-run independent republic.
The context within which your ancestors left this country and went to what would become the one country in Africa that would not be colonized besides Ethiopia was a major decision of courage, but a major decision of wanting to shape their destiny in their own deliberate way. 159 years later, we pay honor. We pay honor to them.
Prime Minister Motley adds now more than ever, "Together we shall rise" has to be the rallying cry, as she called for stronger ties with Africa. She's also lauded the Liberians for making the final step on the return journey home and urged Barbadians to learn their story as it is a part of Barbados' history.
Sankofa, because it is important that we use the wisdom of those who went before to guide us in this very difficult and challenging period of the world today. But that we remember that if it was division that weakened us, then it must be unity that strengthens us.
Meanwhile, head of the Sankofa Pilgrimage Ambassador Lorenzo Witherspoon noted the vetting process for those traveling to Liberia was very stringent, resulting in additional Barbadians making their own way there. He says when the Cora landed in Liberia, 14 stowaways were discovered on board.
So we have 14 of our families that went to Liberia that we don't know who they are. But we really don't know who they are because they are not recorded. We know who they are because they've built families in Liberia. And every single Barbadian individual and family that went to Liberia contributed to the building up of our countries.
Ambassador Witherspoon also notes Arthur Barclay, who was a part of the voyage to Liberia, went on to become Liberia's 15th president, while Edwin Barclay, his nephew, went on to become the country's 18th and is credited with composing the Liberian national anthem. Lorna Jones, CBC News.
And the pilgrimage has been described as a significant moment in the history of Barbados and Liberia as it allows for the fostering of new business ties. That message was coming from a minister of the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman, who addressed the Liberia Business Roundtable and exhibition at the Hilton Resort. Senator Blackman says the government remains committed to South-South trade, and he's called for the further development of economic relations between the Caribbean and Africa.
Equally, the trade between Africa and the Caribbean region must be stronger interwoven. Just imagine having access to a market of 1.3 billion souls, 1.3 billion, with a combined GDP of approximately US $3.5 trillion. And for that reason, it is my personal view, and I emphasize my personal view, that our two regions, CARICOM and the African Union, must explore the creation of a CARICOM African Union free trade bloc, unlocking the immense potential of our two regions on behalf of our people.
Minister Blackman believes Barbados' economically strategic location can be beneficial to external investors interested in doing business in the region. He stresses air travel continues to be a vital part of the government's strategy to boost economic and cultural ties with the African continent. He's explained the government's latest policy decisions relating to travel.
Barbados' government took a decision to allow free movement for visitors from Africa into Barbados. This is indeed necessary as we enable our people to travel here, but whilst it's necessary, it's not sufficient. Because invariably, if you want to fly from the continent, even though you don't need a visa to come here, and you have to go through Europe, or you have to go through North America, what is the benefit? And we therefore now have to move with haste in having direct airlift. We keep talking about it, but I can tell you the government is committed to really ensure that it comes to reality where you can fly from any part of Africa, whether it be Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Northeast or West, into Barbados.
Cayman Airways will end its direct flights between Barbados and Grand Cayman on July the 3rd this year. However, in the lead up to the cessation, the service will be initially reduced to once weekly after May the 17th. The Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. made the announcement this afternoon in a press release. Its Chief Executive Officer, Andrea Franklin, says the decision follows a comprehensive review of airlift into Barbados for the just concluded winter season. She notes both the BTMI and Cayman Airways mutually agreed to terminate the arrangement following an evaluation of the route's performance. Meanwhile, Minister of Tourism and Transport for the Cayman Islands, Kenneth Bryan, says the mutually agreed termination of the contract allows both parties to explore new opportunities and strategic destinations. Work on a multi-million-dollar upgrade to the South Coast Sewage Treatment Plant could begin by year-end. The disclosure from project manager with the Barbados Water Authority, Shelley Paris. She was speaking during a town hall meeting to update residents on the plans to upgrade the facility from a primary treatment plant to a tertiary.
The investment speaks to a total of 210 million Barbados dollars. I believe it is the single largest investment in infrastructure in recent times outside of the road network infrastructure projects under the Ministry of Transport and Works. This particular activity that we're engaged in this evening is a part of the loan application process to the Inter-American Development Bank, which is addressing the climate resilient plant upgrade to the tune of 80 million Barbados dollars. And it will be the first of a series of engagements, as the second portion of the investment speaks to a combination of grant and loan funds that will be obtained from the Green Climate Fund as well, with the IDB as the accredited entity.
Ms. Paris says the project aims to increase the availability of potable water through the reuse of reclaimed wastewater for agricultural purposes and to recharge aquifers.
We'll proceed from the treatment plant here in Graham Hall up along the ABC, I think it's the Adams portion of the ABC Highway, and turn its way inland to the St. George Valley along the trailway line or trainway line and make its way ultimately up into River Plantation in St. Philip. We will be looking at solar energy generation along with battery storage to account for the carbon footprint of the plant itself and ensure that we are operating without adding any additional greenhouse gases to the atmosphere.
We'll take a break here, but coming up, a political analyst gives his view on the suspension of the DLP General Secretary. Regional troops from 26 nations engaged in exercise trade winds in Barbados are ready for any eventuality. That's according to Land Track Lead Planner for the exercise, Captain Shane Drakes. The troops are executing live firing exercises, medical simulations, and military operations on urban terrain. And members of the media had a first-hand experience of the varied activities. Rachel Agard was on location at Paragon Base in Christchurch and filed this report.
Paragon Base has been a hive of activity with the various aspects of exercise trade winds. Captain Drakes explains that the training is important for the upcoming ICC T20 Men's Cricket World Cup and for other future events hosted in Barbados.
RAT training is one of those important aspects that we need should there have to be a disturbance at a venue or anywhere within the country or within the regional sphere. So that RAT training is important, and to ensure that those soldiers and officers who completed the RAT training aspect or keep their skills in tip-top condition, we continually have persons training. We go over that training. If you were to go on Paragon Base right now, you'll see some persons carrying out some of those same RAT drills with some recruits who have recently joined the Barbados Defence Force. So there's continuity in the training.
He says away from Paragon, other exercises are taking place. Captain David Thurman, the medical officer in charge, while noting the importance of triage and evacuation to facilities like St. Anne's Fort and the hospital, emphasized the importance of the golden hour.
From the time that we have any injury, the expectation is that we have initial medical attention immediately, and then they actually get back to that role 2 or role 3 based upon severity of injury. And we have less than 60 minutes from the time that that injury is occurred to get them assessed and medevaced out of that site. So we actually did an exercise the other day between the partner nations with our aviation unit, and we actually had a full exercise across the island, and we made it in 27 minutes.
Captain David Thurman, the medical officer in charge, while noting the importance of triage and evacuation to facilities like St. Anne's Fort and the hospital, emphasized the importance of the golden hour.
We have a crew of 43 personnel that have been operating at the Grantley Adams International Airport, and we've been every day flying here to Paragon and to the northern portions of the island, supporting the various tracks as needed. And we're excited to be here and helping, and look forward to the opportunity that was presented to us to come here from New York.
The highlight of the day, however, was the helicopter ride to the Earth Station in St. John to observe a close-quarter combat operation where troops learned to work shoulder to shoulder. Following the operation, media personnel were taken on a bird's-eye view of other areas of the island, including observing the U.S. Coast Guard vessel out at sea before landing safely at Paragon. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Political analyst Peter Wickham believes the suspension of Democratic Labour Party General Secretary Steve Blackett is the right move. The suspension comes less than 3 weeks after Mr. Blackett filed a no-confidence motion against opposition leader and political party leader Ralph Thorne. In a letter, Mr. Blackett charged Mr. Thorne had caused turmoil and confusion in the party since being admitted as a member in February. Mr. Wickham believes there was no turning back from that point.
I think that Steve Blackett's last resolution against Ralph Thorne crossed the line in that it made it very difficult for any kind of reconciliation to occur, for any back-channel discussion, any saving-face conversation to take place. And I think that the party has acted quite rightly in suspending him. Now that he's out of the way, there's an opportunity for the two principals, which are the key individuals, which would be the president and the political leader, to sit and to negotiate and to come to some kind of publicly palatable conclusion that essentially avoids the references to what has happened in the past and gives them an opportunity to heal. There was no walking back what Blackett said, and I think that against that background, he acted foolishly from a political perspective, and he's now paid the ultimate price.
Mr. Wickham also spoke about the possible next steps.
Steve Blackett has the opportunity to determine whether he wants to withdraw from that process, and my sense is that he could resign from the post of General Secretary, remain a member of the party, or alternatively he could face the reality of being expelled or disciplined by the party, which in my opinion would be the least attractive option for him. So certainly I think that the party can save face. And I think this is an opportunity now for real healing to take place, and I wish them well in that regard.
Well, speaking after a meeting yesterday, Pedro Shepherd confirmed he had been appointed to act as General Secretary in the interim.
The General Council of the Democratic Labour Party, at its general meeting held at its headquarters on Thursday, the 9th of May, 2024, unanimously moved and adopted a motion to refer complaints regarding the General Secretary, Mr. Steve Blackett, to the Disciplinary Committee of the party. Mr. Blackett has been suspended from his office of General Secretary pending the conclusions of an investigation. The party also unanimously moved and adopted a motion that the Assistant General Secretary, Mr. Pedro Shepherd, will act in the post until such time as the conclusions of that investigation.
British national Jack Germain has over 3 million reasons to smile. That's because he's the winner of the Barbados Lottery's Mega 6 jackpot of $3,910,000. He hit the top prize on May the 2nd after buying his ticket from the lottery's flagship store in Wilde. Now, during the official presentation today, lottery officials disclosed it is the highest jackpot paid out since 2007. Germain told the media he may buy a house here, but he hasn't fully decided yet what to do with his new fortune.
I'm feeling absolutely ecstatic, over the moon. Couldn't have a better holiday. Been to Barbados twice before. Was here last year, and it's an absolutely crazy event, and I'm sure I'll be back. And I buy lottery tickets all over the world. Anytime I go on holiday, I always have a go at the local lottery. And it hasn't worked out for me before, but Barbados is my lucky charm, I guess.
A free online mental health clinic with trained clinical psychologists and counselors is being launched in Barbados. Clinical psychologist Kristen Steinbach, one of the professionals involved, says she hopes it will encourage more people to seek help while eliminating stigma.
The community is called Let's Care for Us. And the reason we formulated and created this community is because we know that mental health support is not always accessible for people within Barbados and the wider region. We know that it's quite expensive. We know that there's some stigma when it comes to mental health, so people may not feel supported to seek support. And we also know that confidentiality within the Caribbean is quite a big concern when it comes to our personal lives and the challenges that we're experiencing. So we wanted to remove those barriers to seeking mental health support by creating a free mental health support community.
Ms. Steinbach adds they intend to use the internet to spread word of their service.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power Inn. Pause is power. And by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Time for sports as we're joined by Damien Best. Damien.
Yes, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Some netball news first up. C.O. Williams Rangers are champions of the 2024 Barbados Netball Association Premier League. Playing at the Netball Stadium on Wednesday night, Rangers defeated Guardian Group Pride of Villa 45-40 to move to 28 points and an unassailable lead over their closest challengers, UWI Blackbirds, who can only gain 26 points. CBC's Amar Goodrich-Boyce reports.
Decent sized crowd at the Netball Stadium for BNA Premier League action. Early days in the contest, Rangers in blue and yellow with possession, and they make it count. Goal shoot Damia Waldron on the money. St. Barnabas didn't appear to be fazed by that, and perhaps this play was one of the best on the night. Delicate passing, great awareness and movement up the court led to this. Trisha Dean with the finishing touch. That's flawless. Well, if you thought that was good, Rangers turned it up a notch. Look at this pass from the wing attack. Marvelous. Gets the appreciation from the crowd, and Waldron in excellent form, makes no mistake. She had 34 from 36 attempts. St. Barnabas were trailing 14-8 at the end of the first quarter. Nevertheless, goal shoot Jada Smith was doing her thing and gets the shot to go. Rangers increased their lead from 6-11 in the second quarter. The combination of Nikita Payne and Waldron was effective. Waldron is on target again. Stephian Shepard and company were doing their thing to combat the Rangers, but Waldron was having a grand time and seemed unstoppable. That's another goal. St. Barnabas had their moments thanks to Smith, who shot 27 from 41 to keep the ladies in pink in the contest. Here she is, cashing in. Rangers ended the first half on top, with Nikita adding more pain to the misery of St. Barnabas. The long-range effort is magnificent. Rangers leading 29-18 at the break. Let's move to the third quarter, where it was more of the same. Rangers in the driver's seat with the map in hand, almost at their winning destination. Waldron is impressive, gets it to go. St. Barnabas were down but not completely out. Nice movement and pass to Smith meant one thing. The shot finds the bottom of the net. The score was 37-25 in favor of Rangers at this stage. A picture-perfect pass from Tonisha Rockya finds Waldron, and you can bet on the outcome. This section of the crowd was loving it. The writing was on the wall for St. Barnabas, and Waldron finished off the job here as Rangers defeated St. Barnabas 45-40. Anmar Goodrich-Boyce, CBC Sports.
Yeah, thanks, Amar. Well, players and spectators involved in the recent incident at the Netball Stadium have been banned from competing or attending games until a disciplinary hearing is completed. During a Premier League game on Monday between Police Boys and Girls Club versus Guardian Group Pride of Villa, officers of the Barbados Police Service clashed with a group of spectators over the removal of a female fan who was cautioned for reportedly berating some players with abusive language. In an update, President of the Barbados Netball Association, Dr. Carmita Duglin, said the disciplinary committee has to set a date for a hearing to deal with the matter. However, in the interim, after an emergency meeting of the executive, the BNA has opted not to allow those involved in the incident to play or attend matches. In related news, 25-year-old Kia Nikisha Branch of Silver Rock, Silver Sands, Christchurch, charged in connection with the matter, has been released on $5,000 bail. She pleaded not guilty to assaulting and resisting Constable Andre Payne, destroying a shirt belonging to the state and causing a disturbance at the Netball Stadium, a public place, on May 6. Branch returns to court on November 19th. Well, Cricket West Indies today announced an action-packed schedule for the West Indies men, featuring 3 international home tours against South Africa, England and Bangladesh from May to December 2024. The home tours begin with a visit from South Africa, featuring 3 T20 internationals at Sabina Park prior to the start of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. The Proteas then return to the region after the West Indies Test Tour to England in July, with a 2-test match series to be played in Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, followed by a second 3-match T20 series at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in TNT ahead of the Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League. Following a white ball tour away to Sri Lanka in October, the West Indies will welcome England to the Caribbean for a white ball tour consisting of 3 CG United One-Day internationals and 5 T20s. The series will be played across Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados and St. Lucia. Bangladesh then completes the action-packed year with an all-format tour before Christmas, with 2 test matches in Antigua and Barbuda and Jamaica, 3 CG United ODIs in St. Kitts and Nevis, and 3 T20 internationals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Business Report is brought to you with the kind compliments of the National Insurance and Social Security Service. More than a contribution, it's your lifeline.
Barbados and Liberia are being told they must look beyond traditional sectors for growth and expansion. The advice has come from Senior Vice President of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Paul Innes. He was speaking at a Liberia Business Roundtable and exhibition at the Hilton Resort.
As it relates to innovation and entrepreneurship, we would like to see and cultivate an atmosphere suitable for collaboration for both our nations, to initiate innovation and entrepreneurship exchange programs. These initiatives should serve as conduits for the exchange of invaluable ideas, best practices, and resources within the realms of innovation for startups and small to medium-sized enterprises. By fostering a climate that encourages innovation and entrepreneurship, Barbados and Liberia stand to unlock fresh avenues for economic expansion and employment generation.
The business official also adds that the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry is ready to do business with Liberia.
We must recognize the importance of nurturing people-to-people connections. That's why we're here. While formal agreements and business partnerships are essential, it is equally crucial to foster genuine understanding and appreciation of each other's cultures, traditions, and values. So the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry stands as a committed partner in navigating this exciting new frontier.
Bringing thoughts to life is what gives the energy at Fabulous Affordable Furniture, a business known for creative caskets. Creative Director and Manager of the Martindale's Road St. Michael business, Fabian Reeves, says acceptance from the public is high in some quarters, but there is a challenge with his work among local funeral directors.
They got various funeral homes that, well, traditionally they don't take caskets from outside sources. So basically, they will have a few funeral homes that will be a little reluctant in taking customized caskets because they're the person who brought it to the forefront. Because any day, be honest with you, their name are attached to the funeral. So anything goes wrong, is the funeral home name is going to be called. So some of them are skeptical, and then some of them just don't accept caskets from outside sources.
Mr. Reeves told the Business Report he would be mounting exhibits at the pop-up markets organized by Export Barbados BIDC, and he's looking at the outside market.
I want to start exporting to the wider Caribbean. I recently came back from St. Vincent, and I was fortunate to link up with a brethren that was basically helped me out to a funeral home who actually would be glad for me to send these customized pieces down to them. So that's a connection they're looking to tie in together to make sure that that's something that can happen. Because to have my pieces leave this country to go to other countries with Barbadian stamp behind it is something that I really look forward to doing.
Well, it's the end of the line for the Chevy Malibu. American automotive giant General Motors says it's a sign of the times. Trevor Thorpe reports.
After 60 years and at one time the top-selling car in the United States, General Motors is retiring the Chevy Malibu at the end of the 2024 production. The company says it's making room for electric vehicles. The Chevy Malibu sedan first came off the assembly lines in 1964, and for 60 years, General Motors sold more than 10 million models of the car worldwide. In 1997, it won the Motor Trend Car of the Year award. The Kansas City plant, where the vehicles are made, will switch production to the Volt and to the Cadillac XT4. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
For that second half in sports, here's Damien Best.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, in football news, Weymouth Wales' push for another BFA Premier League title remains on track after they hammered relegation-threatened Barbados Soccer Academy 6-0 last night at the Wildy Turf. Meanwhile, UWI Blackbirds were comfortable winners over Empire in the night's second match. Routine matchup for Weymouth Wales in green versus the Barbados Soccer Academy. Free kick, 19th minute. Shaquille Boyce heads it home. The defending champions off and running 1-0. The BSA looked lifeless in this outing already, visualising life in Division 1 with a handful of games left in the season. Jonte James runs onto this through ball from Shaquille Boyce. The keeper frozen in time. That's 2-0 to Wales. 14 minutes later, Wales would punctuate a dominant first half. Soccer Academy paying the penalty for sloppy work at the back, and James earns himself a brace. 3-0 then at the break. Switch of ends and the floodgates open from the 60th minute onward. Jaheem Neblet surgical to Akil Applewhite. Take your pick left, all right. Too easy, 4-0. The boys from Carrington Village queuing up to get on the score sheet. Neblet with the give and go sets the plate for Applewhite in space, and goal number 5. Football's version of the Mega 6 was complete in the 80th minute. Elijah Downey into the box. Shaquille Stewart seals the deal. Weymouth Wales playing like $1 million. 6-0 winners over Barbados Soccer Academy. Next up, UWI Blackbirds in yellow battling Empire, 14th minute. Blackbirds in behind the defense. Rivaldo Messiah side-footed through the keeper's legs. 1-0. Skip ahead, switch of ends. 48th minute now. Long searching ball into the 18. Jerron Otherson showing excellent marksmanship. Beats the diving keeper, 2-0. UWI. The boys from Cavehill added one more for good measure a minute later. And it's from an acute angle. Messiah. Exquisite finish. The Blackbirds secure the W. They beat Empire 3-0.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen for the crew. To all of you, good night. Have a wonderful weekend.